Campus life was exhilarating. For the first time, there were no parents or teachers to watch your every move. The lecturers gave their lectures and left it at that. There were hall wardens in the halls of residence, but they were not very much in evidence. Vera, for one, never even met her hall's warden. Freedom was in the very air and naturally went to people's heads. The women's halls of residence, the box, as it was known, was the hunting ground for all and sundry, and big cars were very evident, especially on Saturdays when well-dressed, well-to-do men descended upon the place. It was the thing to have a girlfriend in campus, only too naturally, the male students did not like it. In fact, there were two categories of girls, the fast moving Mercedes types and the clipboards. These latter were the ones who had boyfriends in campus and acquired that name because their boyfriends had nothing to offer except their clipboards for holding lecturers' notes. These will be seen tucked firmly under their arms as they try to fast talk some girl or the other. It pays to have a good tongue in your head if you have no money in your pockets. Vera had Tommy, and it helped because with him in the background, she could say no to the happy hunters. Her course was so demanding, in fact, that she rarely had time for anything except the occasional movie and the 1 hour of mass every Sunday that somehow she had never outgrown, though she had often wondered what it was she actually believed. Like many others before her, she was undergoing a crisis. It was no longer enough to accept things just because mom said so. That one holy, apostolic and Catholic church, formerly the bedrock of existence, had many apparent faults, even to one not given to the kind of emotionalism that the fundamentalist Bible waivers had to offer. She really had to sit down one day and find out if she really believed. But for now, there was an exciting world to explore. Tommy came by every Saturday to see her, and if money allowed, he would take her out. Judging from the complaints of his friends, he was a lucky man indeed. Vera understood that lack of money was not leprosy, and that one could be just as happy eating a packet of chips on a bench at Uhuru Park as when eating an expensive meal at the Intercon with a man whose eyes followed every pretty face that came by. He was very fond of Vera and immensely enjoyed her lively, intelligent conversation. She had such an expressive face full of zest and laughter. Tommy was no fool, and he knew that only a fool would let such a woman out of his grasp. Soon he would be out of campus and working, and he wanted to settle down as soon as possible. He felt no strong need to sample the market first, but there was a problem, and that problem was Vera. He had felt instinctively that she was one to go at her own pace and never be pushed, and so he had hastened slowly. She had responded by treating him with the utmost friendliness and always greeted him with a warm smile, but she remained friendly and nothing else. Was she just keeping him dangling? But no, that would be entirely against his concept of her, unless he was mistaken, and wiser men than him had made that mistake before. She was warm, but never ardent. While he was not promiscuous, on the contrary, he was very reticent and would have rather died than be seen with some of the women his colleagues collected during boom time, that 1 or 2 week period of wealth after the allowances had been paid out. He felt that she should always have been responsive. What could it be that held her back always? Eventually, he decided that time was running out for him. He would be through with his 4-year vet medicine course in another few months, so he decided to approach the problem head-on. Vera, will you marry me? Oh, Tommy. She should have seen this coming. She was 22 and not a child anymore. A man could not possibly keep on seeing you for 3 years without caring deeply. He was a good man, and she was a fool not to say yes immediately. For one thing, she will be eternally grateful that he had never put any undue pressure on her, for she was quite unsure how she would have responded. She was instinctively monogamous. For her, there could only be one man, and yet she felt that her life was full of unanswered questions and secret longings. How could she explain this to him without hurting his feelings? He looked at the changing expression on her face and the gradual clouding in her eyes, the sadness. "Oh, Tommy," she repeated again helplessly. "Does that mean yes? But that you are too overwhelmed by my proposal to make a coherent speech of acceptance?" He asked, trying to ease things for her by making jest out of such a serious matter. She laughed, and tears spilled out of her eyes for the first time in many years. He looked at her closely and then knew in his heart that he had lost her, even though she herself did not know it. She wiped her eyes. "You have been my best friend for 3 years. You have been good and faithful and loyal, and I know these are rare things in many men. Why can't I say yes immediately and be done with it? You know I love you. I think you're a wonderful man, yet I can't say yes. Not just now, anyway. I feel unfinished, as if I'm not completely formed, that I still have some growing up to do, which I am sure sounds like nonsense in this country where women marry in their teens and manage to have successful marriages. But you're right. We have been seeing too much of each other. Why don't you date other girls for a while and see how you like it? I can't go on monopolizing you like this." She smiled at him to try to ease the hurt. "And you?" He will kill the man who saw as much as looked at her. He felt terrible inside. Suddenly, he couldn't take any more and lumbered up to his feet and literally staggered away. She looked after him sadly. She had definitely botched that up. Long after he left, she continued sitting in the same place, shoulders hunched and head bent, lost to the world. When she finally got up from their favorite bench in the park, she knew that a phase had passed in her life. She will never be a carefree child again. Innocence has a tendency to disappear when one discovers in oneself the power to really hurt, good intentions notwithstanding. In her loneliness and confusion, she suddenly thought of her sister Becky. It was time she unearthed that lady. Maybe things had thawed out a little between them. Besides, she needed family around her. Her attempts at locating her sister had so far met with total failure. She had either covered her tracks well or had to settle for a job other than air hostessing. Maybe she had gone into modeling. God knew she was beautiful enough. So Vera jumped into a bus and once again headed to the airport. Her hopes sank lower and lower, so that by the time the bus was hurtling down Jogoo Road at a characteristically Kenyan speed, she had all but given up. When it eventually reached the Jomo Kenyatta airport, it was all she could do to get out of the bus and start asking around again. Travelers were miling around her, pushing or pulling their luggage, and for the first time she felt an urge to travel and see the world. Maybe that is what had so impelled her sister to a job with such possibilities. As she approached the booth with Kenya Airways written on it, who should walk straight to her but Becky, looking breathtaking in uniform. "Vera! Becky!" The awkward moment was interrupted by a child who, while running away from his irate mother, rocketed straight into them, nearly throwing Vera off her feet. Becky grabbed her, steadied her, and said to her, "Let's go out of here. I am beat." "Are you sure?" asked Vera in disbelief. She had expected Becky to stare at her coldly and then walk away, but she actually looked glad to see her. "Of course I am. Let's go to my place. How's the university coming along?" Okay. Lots of hard work though. You always loved that. Don't tell me you have changed." Vera laughed. "I am very glad to see you, Becky." "Just that? No accusations? Things like, why haven't you gone home to see your parents, etc., etc. You have changed." "So have you, and you are more beautiful than ever." "Don't big heart me, Vera. I'm still the same. I love the good things of life. Comfort, expensive clothes, good-looking men, the works. And talking of men, The reason I haven't gone home to see the old folks is my current boyfriend. You'll see when we get home. Do you have a boyfriend? Or you're still seeing Tommy? Yes and no. I think we broke up today. You think? You know something? You are always weird. If you want to break off with a man, make it clean. There is no point leaving one dangling around. They just annoy you. Ask me a few tricks on how to say no in such a way that even the dumbest man will understand and still think you're an angel. Why did you break up with Tommy? I thought he was exactly your type. Good, hardworking, clean living, that sort of thing. You have someone else in mind? No. This new fast talking Becky was fascinating. Listen, dummy, you don't drop a man unless you have a good reason to. And the only good reasons, and the only two good reasons I know are either he is too timing you or you have found someone else. Her sister obviously had learnt nothing of the world. What kind of place was that university anyway? Or was her sister, with all her brilliance, just socially dumb? It was none of those, Becky. Please give it a break. Hey, I believe you actually loved the creep. He's not a creep, and yes, I loved him, but I could not convince myself that marrying him was what I wanted, at least not just yet, answered Vera, and Becky sighed in sheer exasperation. I know he's an angel, but do you believe he will hang around waiting for you? If so, then he must be as weird as you are. You know something? I agree. You haven't changed that much after all. That's better, answered Becky as the taxi drew up in front of an expensive-looking block of flats. This is where you live? Asked Vera in shock. You must make a lot of money. There are more ways than one, answered Becky ambiguously as she inserted key into lock.